Hi there, my name's Alex Marshall. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief product officer at Twingate, a zero trust-based secure access solution. What we're going to do in this demo is show you how to use Twingate to access Civo. Civo is a managed Kubernetes service that runs a K3s in the backend. All right, so what I've got set up already here on Civo is I've got a cluster that I've created called Twingate Demo, and it just has a couple small nodes running. And we're going to show you that we're going to set up a couple very simple service and use Twingate to gain access to it without exposing that service to the public internet. So it's a completely secure way to do it. All right, so let me switch over to the terminal real quick. As you can see via the CLI, Civo CLI shows that this cluster is up and running. And what we need to do is deploy our service onto the cluster first. There's nothing running on the cluster right now. Right, so there's no pods deployed. And so this configuration top left will create a service, hello-world. We're going to use that internal name to access the service. Clearly, it's not a fully qualified domain name, but using Twingate, we can securely provide access inside the cluster, again, without exposing anything on the public internet. And behind that service, we're going to run 4 replicated Nginx or demo containers that just show hello world message, basically. All right, so let's apply this config. And let's just verify that the pods are deploying. Okay, so that's underway, and while that's going and that service is getting up and running, let's go back to the browser for a second here. So real quick, just to confirm, I cannot access this Hello World site via the public internet. You wouldn't expect to do so, but just want to make sure we prove that that's not possible from the get-go. All right, so going back to Civo, the only thing you really need to do here is we actually have a Twingate connector deployment in the Civo marketplace. So I'm actually going to go over here to the security tab and select Twingate connector and hit install. And what that will do in the background is actually push out that deployment to my cluster. However, there's a few more steps we need to go through before we can gain access internally. Okay, so everything's documented here in the Marketplace app. You can access this by the Civo website or the CLI. There's just a few things we need to do to get that connector up and running. So we have to supply it with your Twingate domain. You'll get this by signing up for Twingate on our website. You can sign up for free. And then we also need to supply a couple access tokens. And these tokens are what the connector uses to securely authenticate to our service and identify it with your account. So we'll show you how this works. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Twingate admin console. So I've already gone ahead and set up a demo account here, which is called Civo Demo. The only resource I've added to this Twingate network is this service Hello World. Note that I'm using the name as it appears inside the cluster, so it's not fully qualified. And we've also put in a port restriction to only allow access on port 80. And in this case, we're just allowing any user access to this service for the purpose of the demo. So this resource sits inside on what we call in Twingate a remote network. So if I actually navigate over here to the remote network, you'll see that I've labeled it with the Civo cluster, and this resource sits inside it. The red dot indicates that there's actually no way to access this resource. And so in order to create that access route, what we need to do is actually deploy a connector. So I already added a connector here, but we haven't fully deployed it yet. If I click into the connector config, you'll see that we have a whole bunch of different deployment options depending on what type of network you're trying to gain access to. For this case, we're actually going to just use the manual method. And what we're going to do is generate a couple access tokens. So I need to authenticate first. And after I authenticate, what you'll see is that it'll generate 2 access tokens that are unique to this connector and unique to your account. So they can't be shared. And just a side note, we're doing this through the web console, but this is possible through the Twingate admin API. You can pull these tokens programmatically. All right, so what we're going to do is, following the marketplace instructions, we're going to copy both of these tokens back here to the deployment YAML file for the connector. So there's the access token. We'll get the refresh token there in a second. And I've already pre-populated the URL for the Twingate account, civodemo.twingate.com. All right, so let's get that refresh token. All right, we're going to save that file. All right, so let's just verify what the pod status is. All right, everything's up and running, and you'll notice that the Twingate connector is deployed, but there is a configuration error because it's missing this configuration data that hasn't been pushed to the cluster yet. So let's add that data. Okay, so that information has been added to the cluster, and if we go back to the admin console in just a second here, what we'll see is everything turn green in a second once the connector connects to Twingate. So you notice that the connection has been set up. So if I go back to our remote network, we'll see that that service is now accessible with that green light. Okay. So let me go back to the browser. Okay, Hello World's still inaccessible, but so what I need to do as a user is use a Twingate client application to connect to the service. So I click Connect to Civo Demo, which is the name of the network. I'll sign in with an authorized user on the account, and we send this link back to Twingate app. So you notice it's now connected, and we list the Hello World service as an accessible resource. Okay, so now that that's set up, if I go back to this URL, you'll see that it is accessible, and I'm being connected to one of the internal pods. Okay, and just to show you what the situation looks like on the cluster itself. There we go, we see everything's up and running. All right, so just to show you, again, like how we'd secure access here, just a couple of notes. Like first of all, again, if I disconnect from Twingate, I immediately lose access. So I refresh that page, it's gone. And what this means is that Twingate actually provides you a very granular way to control access based on network routing. So we didn't set up a very complicated policy, but what we could do in the future, if we wanted to, if I go to policies here, we're using the default policy, which in this case just says you need to sign in and re-authenticate every 5 days. And as long as that's valid, you're able to access that resource. However, we do have another policy we could use in the future, which is make sure the user signs in once a day and require two-step verification. And so using Twingate, you can actually add these additional verification methods to network requests without configuring anything on the service side or on your client application. All this will happen natively through the web. All right. Well, thanks for listening to this demo. And if you have any questions, please visit us at twingate.com, and we'll be happy to talk to you. Thanks.